Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Xiao Yan, who was in a state of wild joy, discovered that the dragon seal on his hand had gradually become hot soon after that strange symbol appeared on the forehead of the 3000 burning flame. At the same time, an extremely mysterious feeling suddenly appeared in his heart. Xiao Yan felt stunned soon after this mysterious feeling appeared. He stared at the 3000 burning flame in front of him, and he seemed to be able to sense its emotion. Roar! The 3000 burning flame was dull for a moment once the symbol appeared, but it once again recovered its cautiousness while Xiao Yan was feeling shocked. At this moment, it appeared to have understood something. An ice-cold, fierce glint suddenly flashed as it firmly stared at Xiao Yan. The symbol on its forehead also grew brighter. Xiao Yan's heart was cold when he saw the fierce glint that filled the eyes of the 3000 burning flame. He was aware that he would be in a dangerous situation soon. It was just as Yang had said. This dragon seal worked both ways. If he was unable to control the 3000 burning flame, he would be controlled by it. This was something that Xiao Yan would not allow to happen regardless of what happens. Come, I want to see just how fierce you are. At this moment, only one of the two would survive. Xiao Yan was not some random person. Immediately, a fierce glow surged into his eyes. He had already swallowed 2 heavenly flames. Would he not be able to deal with this 3000 burning flame? Roar! The 3000 burning flame raised its head and let out a roar. The seal on its forehead suddenly emitted a golden light. It was just like a dazzling golden sun that had risen within the star region. Following the brightening of the symbol on the forehead of the 3000 burning flame, the mysterious feeling within Xiao Yan's heart became more clear. A moment later, his eyes suddenly became dazzled. He was absent-minded. When he appeared again, he was in an extremely foreign space. This space was filled with purple-black flames, and Xiao Yan was present in these endless flames. Foolish human! A furious dragon roar was suddenly transmitted from the purple-black flames. A wild wind whizzed by and an unusually large dragon slowly rose from the sea of fire. It lingered in the sky while it watched Xiao Yan, who was standing in the sea of flames. Xiao Yan's eyes focused on the large dragon within the purple-black flames. A moment later, he inhaled a breath of hot air. He clearly understood that this was the spiritual world of the 3000 burning flame. It wanted to dominate the dragon seal and control Xiao Yan in the process. A soul battle her. Xiao Yan raised his hand. He glanced at the somewhat illusionary palm, while his face was as rippleless as an old well. A thought passed through Xiao Yan's heart. A vast, mighty spiritual strength formed a lotus seat under his body. After which, he sat cross-legged. His dark black eyes stared at the 3000 burning flame within the sea of fire as he coldly laughed. Beast, show me what you've got. Roar! The 3000 burning flame immediately emitted a furious roar. Under this roar, the purple-black flames within this space wildly soared. After which, they surged toward Xiao Yan from all directions with extremely shocking momentum. Xiao Yan's expression was unusually calm when faced with this wild attack from the 3000 burning flame. At this moment, they were not only fighting with their souls, but also with their wills. Whoever could last until the end would be the final victor. These years of training had forged Xiao Yan into an unmoving mountain of toughness and calmness. It was impossible to tell just who would die in whose hand if they were to really engage in an all-out fight. The purple-black flames rushed over as a circular, jade-green fire barrier slowly spread out of Xiao Yan's body. Finally, the jade-green flame transformed into a round cover that wrapped around his body. He appeared just like an unmoving mountain regardless of how the purple-black flames collided with him. The battle that would decide the fates of the two had just begun. Cao Ying and the rest in distant empty space revealed faces that were filled with anxiety and doubt as they looked into the distance. Xiao Yan had suddenly ceased all actions. His eyes were shut tight. Moreover, the thing that really surprised them was the purple-black fire dragon in front of him. At this moment, that extremely fierce fellow had descended into a strange silence. Its body had surfaced in the air. If some life force had not been emitted from the bodies of the person and the dragon, it was likely that others would have wondered if these two had suddenly lost their lives. What happened? Cao Ying knit her brows as she softly asked. They seemed to have changed their fighting method. I am able to sense Xiao Yang maneuvering an extremely great amount of spiritual strength. The 3000 burning flame is also showing some activity in this area. I think that it should be a soul battle. Dan Chen softly said by the side. Soul battle. Cao Ying's expression changed slightly upon hearing her words. One could only engage in a soul battle if one's spiritual strength had reached a certain level. However, this kind of battle was too fierce. If one were careless, irreparable damage could occur to one's soul. Moreover, it might even cause one's spiritual strength to gradually weaken. Hence, even some true experts with powerful spiritual strengths did not dare to engage in a soul battle. However, it is pointless to worry now. Disturbing either one of them at this moment would result in a backlash. The results will be extremely serious. We can only wait for it to naturally end, Dan Chen said. Cao Ying tightly frowned. However, she could not think of a solution. All she could do was quietly sigh within her heart. When Cao Ying's group discovered the strange condition of Xiao Yang and the 3000 burning flame, old Mu Jiyu and the others also sensed it. They were immediately startled. Although they were unaware of why Xiao Yang would suddenly engage in a soul battle with the 3000 burning flame, they understood that now was a good opportunity to act. As long as they interrupted the face-off between Xiao Yang and the 3000 burning flame, both of them would suffer a backlash, killing two birds with one stone. You will stop him. I will attack. Old Mu Jiyu clenched his teeth and yelled as a glint flashed across his eyes. That black-clothed Dozun, who was bitterly battling with Qiu Ling, hesitated for a moment upon hearing this. He could only violently nod. There was not enough time. They could only withdraw if they did not gain anything. Old Mu Jiyu immediately flew off. Qiu Ling's expression sank when he saw old Mu Jiyu attempt to flee from the battle. He was just about to give chase when the somewhat weary Dozun unleashed an extremely crazy counterattack, pulling Qiu Ling's focus back to the battle. Cao Ying, stop him. Qiu Ling's expression changed after being delayed by the black-clothed Dozun, who was using all his effort. Cao Ying and the others hurriedly nodded upon hearing his cry. Their bodies had just moved when the two experts from the Hall of Souls, who had gotten into the top 10 along with old Mu Jiyu, rushed over and blocked the three of them. At this moment, everyone had been delayed. Hence, all they could do was watch with their eyes as old Mu Jiyu swiftly pounced toward Xiao Yang and the 3000 burning flame. Xiao Yang, you have created a great opportunity for the old me. A ferocious smile flashed across old Mugu's eyes as he looked at Xiao Yang and the 3000 burning flame from close proximity. A deep blue flame surged out of his palm. After which, it slammed violently toward the top of Xiao Yang's head. Bang! Just when old Mu Jiyu was about to attack, an unusually vast and mighty force suddenly cut through the air and violently smashed into old Mugu's chest. This sudden, heavy blow caused old Mugu's face to turn pale. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. Immediately, shock surged into his eyes as he sharply cried out, Xian Kongzi. The Hall of Souls really acts in a great manner. It has actually dispatched so many experts this time around. Old Mugu's sharp voice had just sounded when an ice-cold elderly voice slowly reverberated through the empty space. A slight ripple appeared within space itself when the elderly voice sounded. Immediately, a figure slowly appeared. The delay outside has failed, scatter. Old Mugu's eyes suddenly shrank upon seeing that it was indeed Xian Kongzi. He clenched his teeth and immediately cried out. Since Xian Kongzi had appeared, they were completely without hope. The cry had just sounded when old Mu Jiyu swiftly took out a silver-colored jade plate from his storage ring. He shattered it without any hesitation. A majestic spatial strength surged out and a dark black spatial crack appeared. Xian Kongzi had just appeared when the remaining three Dozuns from the Hall of Souls' expressions drastically changed. There was no need for old Mugu's reminder. Their jade plates appeared, and a couple of spatial crevices swiftly appeared when they were broken. Since you have come, leave some souvenirs behind. A cold smile immediately flashed across Xian Kongzi's face as he watched the four Hall of Souls Dozuns quickly run. He clenched his fist and smashed at the four of them across space. His punch balled through space. As the space around his fist crumbled, four unusually terrifying, invisible fist imprints penetrated space itself. They landed on the chests of the four people, after appearing from extremely strange directions. Immediately, the sound of bones cracking apart appeared. For bright red blood foams were spat out of their mouths along with some shattered internal organs. After which, their bodies launched into the spatial cracks, using the terrifying force on the fists to disappear. 4 Dozuns were defeated with a punch. This strength was indeed worthy of being one of the 3 great heads of the Pill Tower. Xian Kongzi had frightened off the 4 Dozuns from the Hall of Souls after just showing his face. He was just about to speak, when his expression suddenly changed. It was possible to see the incomparably large, purple dragon swelling at this moment. The purple-black flame was like a volcano that continued to erupt. The 3,000 burning flame is about to erupt. Even with Xian Kongzi's calmness, he could not help but gently inhale a break of air as he looked at the swiftly swelling body. The enormous body of the 3,000 burning flame in the star region was rapidly swelling. Numerous 1,000-foot-large purple-black flames surged out in all directions from under the dragon scales. In the blink of an eye, they swept over a portion of the empty space. Moreover, from the looks of it, the eruption was far from over. This large-scale fire eruption caused even Xian Kongzi's expression to slightly change. He sensed that the 3,000 burning flame seemed to have released all of the flames that it had absorbed over many years at this moment. What happened? Xian Kongzi's eyes flashed. He suddenly turned to where Xiao Yan was located, only to see that he and the 3,000 burning flame had descended into silence. An instant later, Xian Kongzi seemed to have understood something. His expression gradually became grave as he exclaimed in a deep voice, "It is a soul battle, this fellow is really too bold." Bang! A portion of the body belonging to the enormous dragon exploded while Xian Kongyi mused. An unusually terrifying, purple-black flame wave swept through like lightning manner. The sky-burning temperature caused the interior of the star region to become a sea of flames. The purple-black fire sea split apart when it had reached a 10-foot radius around the body of Xiao Yan and the 3,000 burning flames essence flame. It left behind an flame-free area at that spot before rushing into the distance. Xiaoling, bring them and leave first. Xian Kongzi's expression had become a lot more serious as he sensed the terrifying temperature within the star region. The 3,000 burning flame has absorbed so many years of flames. The might that it unleashed was mind-boggling. Even he did not dare to stay in this kind of place for too long. Regardless of how strong one's do qi was, it would be extremely difficult to protect against the temperature of the 3,000 burning flame. Xiaoling nodded his head with a grave expression when he heard Xian Kongli's command. He waved his sleeves at Cao Ying's trio, and a gentle breeze lifted the 3 of them before swiftly rushing them in the direction of the star region's exit. "Teacher, there's still Xiao Yang." Cao Ying, who was being forcefully pulled away, hurriedly yelled. Xian Kongzi tightly frowned. His focused on Xiao Yang, who was within the purple-black flames. The surrounding flames appeared cautious and did not surge toward him. However, if one were to remain in this place for too long, the temperature was high enough that an elite Dozun would not be able to last long. I should forcefully bring him away. Xian Kongzi finally clenched his teeth, after his heart hesitated for a moment. Although breaking the conditions Xiao Yang was in would cause him harm, there was no other choice. With Xiao Yang's strength, he would not be able to hold out against such a burning temperature for long. Xian Kongzi's body moved while this thought flashed across his heart. After which, he rushed toward Xiao Yang. He appeared above Xiao Yang, and he was just about to act when a golden light rushed over. It ruthlessly smashed at his head. This sudden attack caused Xian Kongzi to knit his eyebrows. He waved his sleeves and collided with the golden light figure. After which, he forced back the figure. He glanced over and saw the figure was the puppet that had helped Xiao Yang receive many pill lightnings. Damn it. Looking at the situation, it was obvious that the Sky Demon puppet had treated him as an enemy. With Xiao Yang's orders, the low intelligence of the Sky Demon puppet only knew how to stubbornly execute its task of protecting Xiao Yang. Any actions that would harm Xiao Yang would be viewed as an enemy act. Although the Sky Demon puppet was unable to block Xian Kongzi, the attack earlier had caused him to lose his last chance, because the enormous dragon body had emitted another bang at this moment. Bang bang. A section of the dragon's body exploded, and terrifying purple-black flames immediately swept toward Xian Kongzi from all directions, like the roar of a dragon. Xian Kongzi's eyes were tightly knit upon sensing just how terrifying the sea of fire was. His eyes were hesitant as he glanced at Xiao Yang below. If he were to leave at this moment, it was likely that Xiao Yang would end up dying. Why aren't you leaving quickly? You will only be waiting for your death if you stay. That little fellow looks a little strange. It is likely that nothing untoward will happen to him. Old demon Qing Hua was unable to withstand the high temperature while Xian Kongzi was hesitating. His body hurriedly rushed away to get out of the star region. He did not forget to urge Xian Kongzi to leave when he passed him by. Soon after the words of old demon Qing Hua sounded, a jade-green-colored flame suddenly poured out of Xiao Yang's body, like a cover. It slowly spread and coincidentally wrapped around him. Heavenly flame her. Xian Kongzi only relaxed upon seeing this. He glanced at the purple-black flame. It rumbled as it swept over while accompanying a line of fire that stretched endlessly. Finally, he ceased hesitating. From the looks of it, Xiao Yan clearly had his own plans. Xian Kongzi felt a little reassured. At the very least, Xiao Yang did not appear to be someone reckless while Xian Kongzi had observed him. Little fellow, since you insist on choosing this, you can only seek your own blessing. Xian Kongzi softly sighed. After which, he ceased remaining any longer, as he turned around and rushed to the exit of the star region. His body flashed a couple of times as he glanced at the two experts from the Hall of Souls who had managed to get into the top 10. These two people did not possess a precious spatial jade plate like old Mu Jiyu and the others. Hence, they could only quietly flee for their lives. Due to the chaos that had been created by the Hall of Souls, Xian Kongzi was filled with fury. He saw these two people sneaking around and immediately let out a cold snort. He waved his sleeves and a majestic force surged out. It wrapped around the both of them before throwing them into the purple-black sea of fire. The unlucky Hall of Souls experts had just fallen into a sea of fire when they emitted sharp, miserable cries. Do Qi within their body erupted with all their might. However, within 10 seconds, the Do Qi was completely swallowed by the flames. The bodies of the two of them were turned into ashes that scattered within the blink of an eye. How ruthless! Old demon Qing Hua immediately raised his thumb to Xian Kongzi upon seeing what he did. However, after his words had just sounded, he sensed a fiery heat all over his body. He immediately let out a strange cry, and no longer dared delay any longer. He went all out and shot to the exit of the star region. Xian Kongzi turned his head and looked at the purple-black sea of fire that had spread over the entire star region. A circular, green-colored light rippled like a tree leaf in a large sea. No one knew just when it would sink. Little fellow, whatever happens next will depend on your good fortune, Xian Kongzi sighed in his heart. He looked at the continuous line of fire that was surging over. His body moved, and he rushed to the exit of the star region. After a flash, he fled from it. After the final person had escaped from the star region, the region had become dead quiet. Purple-black flames spread over every part of the star region like a sea of fire. The terrifying temperature caused even space itself to distort. Currently, it was possible to see some rubble within Holy Pill City. Clearly, this place had experienced a big battle earlier. The silver spatial door fluctuated in the sky above the Pill Tower. Immediately, numerous human figures fled miserably from it. There was even hot, purple-black flames spitting out the door, causing those watching to feel stunned. Close the star region. Xian Kongzi's body flashed, and he sprang from the large spatial door. His eyes glanced into it, only to see the purple-black sea of flames swiftly moving closer. His expression sank as he cried out. Xian Yi and Tian Lei Zi by the side were startled when they heard his cry. However, upon seeing the grave expression on his face, they did not manage to say anything else. Their hand seals changed and waves of spatial ripples erupted. That large, silver door swiftly disappeared. Bang! A wave of purple-black flames spluttered out when the silver spatial door was about to disappear. It burned some of the experts from the Pill Tower until they withdrew. Miserable cries were emitted from their mouths. What happened? Xian Yi and the other great head hurriedly asked. Their expressions had changed when they witnessed this scene. The body of the 3,000 burning flame exploded and all of the flames it had absorbed over the many years scattered. Currently, the star region is likely a sea of fire. We need to strengthen the seal. Otherwise, if the star region breaks, Holy Pill City will be almost instantly annihilated. Xian Kongzi solemnly replied. Xian Yi and Tian Lei Zi's expressions changed upon hearing his explanation. The 3,000 burning flame had absorbed the strength of the stars for a countless number of years in order to form such an enormous body. Now that it had completely erupted, its might was such that even they would have to temporarily seek shelter. That's right, where is Xiao Yang? Xian Yi's eyes swept around before suddenly asking. Xian Kongzi hesitated for a moment before replying, he's still in the star region. What? Why didn't you bring him out? Xian Yi's expression drastically changed as she cried out furiously. He is engaging in a soul battle with the essence flame of the 3000 burning flame. Clearly, he intends to use this opportunity to refine it. If I were to forcefully pull him away, I would likely have caused him great harm. Xian Kongzi sighed. Causing him some harm is better than dying inside. Xian Yi's face showed her fury. Xiao Yang was Yao Chen's disciple. If Yao Chen was to escape from captivity in the future and learn that Xiao Yang had died within the star region of the Pill Tower, it was likely that Yao Chen would no longer interact with the Pill Tower given his character. He might even come and seek justice in his anger. There is no need for you to be this anxious. Although Xiao Yang was engaged in a soul battle, he was still able to sense the changes of the outside world. Since he did not choose to withdraw, it is likely that he has his own plans. He is not a reckless person, Qian Lei Zi by the side comforted. Xian Kongzi bitterly laughed and said, relax, that little fellow possesses a couple of heavenly flames. Even if the 3000 burning flame completely erupts, it will not be able to do anything to him within a short period of time. We will go in and bring him out once the star region become a little calmer. Hopefully we will not see a pile of ashes when we enter at that time. It is not as though you do not understand Yao Chen's character. What can he not do when he is angry? Xian Yi looked at the spot where the star region had shut. She finally waved her sleeves, turned around, and walked to the Pill Tower with some fury. Xian Kongzi and Qian Lei Zi could only helplessly shake their heads when they saw her storm off. What did you say? The 3000 burning flame in the star region has erupted. Xiao Yang is still inside. The little fairy doctor looked at the white-haired, old man in front of her while she was within a room within the Pill Tower. Her hand had shattered the table beside her into dust as she suddenly stood up. Her warm and alluring face was currently covered with an icy evilness that had been gone for a long time. Tian Huazunja's expression also changed slightly as he stood beside the little fairy doctor. Xiaoling also bitterly laughed upon seeing such a great reaction from the little fairy doctor. He cupped his hands together and said, it is not as though we did not attempt to rescue Xiao Yang, but he was engaged in a soul battle with the 3000 burning flames essence flame. He would have been seriously injured if we brought him away. Moreover, there is his puppet guarding him. It did not allow anyone to touch him. With the strength of the giant head of the Pill Tower, it is likely that a puppet would not be able to stop him regardless of how strong it is, no. The little fairy doctor furiously replied. Although she didn't possess a clear picture of the situation within the Pill region, she could tell that it was definitely bad from the tense atmosphere of the Pill Tower. Moreover, Xiao Yang was alone within the star region. It was likely that he would not survive. Xiaoling also sighed in the face of the aggressive little fairy doctor. He said, Association head and the others have said that once the situation within the star region has become better in a few days, they will enter it and forcefully bring Xiao Yang out. What if those who enter at that time fail to find him? The little fairy doctor's eyebrows were vertical. A couple of days later, even Xian Kongzi's group did not dare to enter the star region at this moment. Would Xiao Yang be able to survive after having stayed in it? The fury in the little fairy doctor's heart surged when she thought of this. Just when she was about to erupt in anger, Ziyang Bai secretly pulled at her sleeve. She softly said, relax, Xiao Yang is still alive. I can sense it. The little fairy doctor was startled upon hearing Ziyang's words. Her pretty eyes doubtfully looked at Ziyang. A moment later, her tensed face finally relaxed. Although Ziyang was naughty, she was clearly aware of the gravity of the situation. Moreover, her relationship with Xiao Yang was very good. If Xiao Yang met with any accident, she would definitely not be as calm as she was now. I will look for your association heads 3 days from now. If they do not open the star region at that time, I will barge into it by myself. The little fairy doctor waved her sleeves and spoke in a deep voice. In that case, the old me shall take my leave first. Xiaoling bitterly laughed and could only nod his head. At this moment, it was obvious that the little fairy doctor was furious. If he said anything more, he might end up in a fight with her. At that moment, he did not dare to say anything more as he cupped his hands together and withdrew from the room. How can you sense him? He is separated from us. The little fairy doctor turned her head, stared at Xiao Yan, and asked when Xiao Ling left. I planted a dragon seal in his body. If any accident occurs to him, the dragon seal on my hand will also disappear. Xiao Yan spread her small hand. It was possible to see a golden-colored seal on her hand. At this moment, the symbol was emitting a faint golden light. Not only has the dragon seal not disappeared, but it is even emitting a gold light. This means that his condition is quite good, and his life is not in any danger. Xiao Yan explained the seal in a serious tone. The little fairy doctor only felt the heavy stone pressing on her chest fall off after seeing the seal. She mused for a moment before her eyes were swung to the sky outside the pill tower. At this moment, there were quite a number of experts from the pill tower heavily guarding it. Even if this is the case, I cannot allow Xiao Yang to remain in that place alone. If he has not come out after 3 days, I will get the 3 great heads of the pill tower to open the star region again no matter what. While the outside world was a little chaotic, because of the eruption of the 3000 burning flame, the interior of the star region was unusually quiet. Purple-black flames lingered over every corner of the star region, rising and burning. The entire star region was just like a gigantic furnace. The air was unbelievably hot. Ordinary experts would likely emit a bang and auto-ignite into a fireball if they were to even inhale a breath of this air. The eruption of the 3000 burning flame this time around had truly turned this star region into a deadly and forbidden place. There was a green glow vaguely present within the endless sea of purple-black fire. If one were to look from a closer position, one would discover that it was a green-colored fire barrier. A figure was seated cross-legged in the flame. Both of the figure's eyes were shut as a golden-yellow sky demon puppet, with an expressionless face next to the figure. The one seated cross-legged was naturally Xiao Yang. The current him was just like a monk in meditation. His body did not move, and even the aura that spread from his body was quite thin. At a glance, he appeared just like a person on the brink of death. This place was an empty one filled with purple-black flames, causing it to be no different from the star region. However, the only thing different was that this place was not as quiet as the outside world. Instead, there was occasionally a furious roar and the sound of fires exploding. If one followed the sound of the explosions and looked over, one could see a circular, green flame spreading apart. The interior of the fire barrier revealed Xiao Yang's somewhat illusory body seated on a lotus seat formed by the green flame. His body did not move. There was no change in his expression regardless of how the purple-black fire dragon struggled and strafed. Bang bang. Numerous enormous purple-black fire pillars violently collided with the jade-green fire barrier, causing the barrier to fluctuate and form numerous ripples. However, the pillars were ultimately unable to break the fire barrier. Lowly human, you dare compete in a life and death battle with me? The fire barrier's fortifications had not broken even after a long time. Moreover, the surrounding terrifying temperature appeared to not affect Xiao Yang. The 3000 burning flame involuntarily became a little irritable. For some unknown reason, it had vaguely sensed that its strength seemed to be weakening with the flow of time. Moreover, the thing that shocked it was that the strength of Xiao Yang within the fire barrier was quietly soaring at a very slow speed. It was like the strength within its body was being transferred to Xiao Yang's body in an unbelievable way. This kind of transfer might be extremely slow, but it was happening. If this kind of exhaustion continued for a long period of time, it would sooner or later be unable to suppress Xiao Yang. At that time, it understood that Xiao Yang's retaliation would begin. This kind of change caused the 3000 burning flame to feel uneasy and irritable. However, regardless of how it screamed and attacked, Xiao Yang continued to hide behind the fire barrier like a tortoise in its shell. He did not make any counterattacks. Rumble. The irritation caused the 3000 burning flame to grow unusually wild and violent. It went all out, urging the flame to erode the fire barrier. However, the effects that it had obtained only caused it to become even more fierce and violent. Xiao Yang sensed the reason why the 3000 burning flame was becoming wilder and more violent. It was because its strength was disappearing with the flow of time. Moreover, its strength would gradually flow into Xiao Yang's body. This kind of mysterious thing should be related to the dragon seal. It was just as Xiao Yang had mentioned. The dragon seal that she had planted in Xiao Yang was of a higher quality than the dragon seal of the 3000 burning flame. This might be the reason why the strengths of the two of them showed signs of strengthening and weakening respectively. After having comprehended this point, Xiao Yan ended up relaxing. With his current strength, it was impossible for him to subdue the 3,000 burning flame. Fortunately, with his defenses, this weakened essence flame would be unable to do anything to him. All he needed to do now was to wait quietly. Once the strength of the 3,000 burning flame had transferred to his body, he would be able to turn the situation around and subdue it in one attempt. This would be the only chance Xiao Yan had to succeed. Even the slightest recklessness would cause him to lose this chance, and cause the situation to turn into a miserable one. Xiao Yan involuntarily and coldly trembled the moment he thought about being controlled by the 3,000 burning flame after he failed. He would be better off dead. Therefore, he must not lose no matter what. Although this speed would require a long while before he could gain the strength to counterattack, this was all he could do. As long as he calmed his heart, victory was certain. After years of training, the feeling of impatience would naturally not appear in Xiao Yang at such a critical juncture. Everything was tilted in a manner that favored Xiao Yang. All he needed to do was wait until the day he would fully erupt. There was no concept of time within this spiritual space. Hence, Xiao Yang was unaware of the flow of time. The only thing he knew was that the 3,000 burning flame was weakening by the day, while he was growing stronger. With the gradual flow of time, even the irritation in the eyes of the 3,000 burning flame gradually revealed panic following this strange transformation. It also knew that the longer things were delayed, the more unfavorable the situation would be for it. However, even it ended up involuntarily feeling helpless in the face of Xiao Yang's tortoise shell defense. Its defense gradually weakened, but Xiao Yang's defense was strengthening by the day. This battle tested one's patience and will. Time swiftly passed like the sand between one's fingers. Xiao Yang had difficulty estimating the flow of time within this emptiness. The only thing he could do was focus and calm his mind, feeling the soul that was filled with spirituality within the space that was filled with purple-black flames. This kind of bitter wait, with a calm heart, continued before it suddenly ended. Xiao Yang, who had kept his eyes shut within the spiritual space, slowly opened them. This time around, his eyes no longer displayed the calmness that they usually did. Instead, a faint smile gradually surged into them. Now, it's my turn. Xiao Yang, who was seated on the fire lotus, looked at the sluggish 3,000 burning flame outside the fire barrier. He slightly smiled and slowly got up. A sharp aura swept out like a storm at this moment. Part 1 end here.